How many of you know someone who is always angry? I mean, I'm not talking about the person who's gets angry at when they get to a red light or if somebody cuts them off. I mean, people that are always, always, always angry. They always find a way to be upset. People that could win the lottery and go, "Oh crap! Now I'm going to have to owe extra taxes." I mean, there's just some people that are impossible to please. Now, it's important to note that anger is not an emotion in and of itself. Anger is fear. Whenever someone's angry, you can always ask, instead of what are you angry about, you can always ask, what are you afraid of? Now, this is particularly important if you want to try and de escalate a situation. You want to know what is driving them, and then you want to find a way to meet that need, and you know, then theoretically they won't be angry anymore. So I guess the real question is, what are people getting afraid of? So there's only four things, believe it or not, that you can be afraid of that actually drive the anger emotion. The first thing that drives this fear is the loss of certainty. If you're not sure that the floor is going to hold you or the ceiling's going to hold up, you're not really going to be too concerned about anything else. So certainty is a major driving force of fear and anger. People get their certainty in many different ways. Some people like control. So they figure if they're in control, they're going to be certain of what happens next or what's actually going to be going on. Some people use money. Some people use drugs to get certain. Some people use food to get certain. Anything that provides a sense of security and certainty that they understand exactly what's going to happen and they're in some element of control over the circumstance. And it's when they lose that certainty or that certainty is threatened that they become angry. Now, another thing people can fear sometimes is a lack of uncertainty. Like things are going to get boring. That's why you have like troublemakers, people that like to stir the pot. They don't like the certainty when things are calm. So they like the uncertainty. They like the spice of life. They like things to be exciting. And these are people that are constantly afraid that they're going to be eating oatmeal and dry toast every morning for the rest of their lives. That loss of uncertainty, when things get too certain for those people, that's when they get fearful and angry. And that's actually why couples fight over money, because you usually have the frugal person who values the certainty of having the money there in case they need it, and then you have the person who values the uncertainty, that wants life to be fun and exciting and enjoys the impulsivity. So each one works against the other, and when one or the other is threatened, that's when there's that push pull, and people get angry about it. A third reason people get angry is the loss of love and connection. When someone doesn't call you when they said they would, or if somebody doesn't do something they said they would do for you, or somebody doesn't come home on time, or whatever, you feel like a sense of loss. Kind of like that feeling of being alone with no friends and no family and whatnot. It's just that feeling of being alone, not having anyone to connect to. It's not necessarily like a love connection. It's like it can be friendships, it can be family, it can be even if your dog snubs you, you can get some people get angry at that. So that can be a trigger for anger, is that loss of connection or that sense of loss of connection, that fear. And the fourth reason that people get angry is the fear of not being significant. You'll notice this with a lot of like control freaks. They always want to be significant. They always want to be dominant. They always want to be important. Sometimes when people lose that sense of importance or that feeling of being heard, being valued, being significant in some way, shape, or form, that's when they get angry. Now, those people are pretty easy to pick out because those are usually the people that list off all the good deeds they do when they get angry. You usually hear things like, after all the things I've done for you. Those are people that it's very easy to tell that they don't feel significant enough that you can see things their way. So the idea is to figure out what fear of which one of those four categories that people are coming from when they get angry. And that's the first step to de-escalation, is recognizing what is actually driving this anger, what fear is driving this anger. And then you can do your best to work your way through to try and give them what they need. Try to console that fear, because when you console that fear, the anger goes away. Now, let's say you've done all that. Let's say you encountered somebody who's angry. You figured out what they're afraid of. You've done your best to meet their need and to quell their needs, but they're still angry. Why? Well, it's because of Newton's law of motion. An object in motion will remain in motion unless reacted upon by an external force. So the only piece that's missing is you haven't given them that state break. You haven't given them that external force that they need to get out of that anger, because it's easy to be angry when you're already angry, right? I mean, some people, they live on the momentum of being angry all the time. And often it takes something really dramatic to get them out of that. So a good way that I've noticed is pay them a compliment. Pay them a compliment. Say some nice things to them. Really try to bring them out of that state. They may not be able to get out of that state right away, but I guarantee they'll soften their anger if you're nice to them. It's hard to be angry with somebody who's actually being very kind and gentle and nice with you. And if you have a tendency to doubt that what I'm saying is true, just look at little kids. Little kids do this all the time. I mean, you see them, they get upset over something small. They'll have a meltdown in the middle of Walmart. You're trying to console their needs. You've come up with whatever you think is solving their problem, and they're still upset. And then what do? You give them a sucker. What does that do? That breaks their state. How many kids are like, and they're just totally freaking out, and then you give them a sucker, and it's like, oh, hi, it's a sucker. You know what I mean? So it works with them. What most people don't realize is it works with adults too. You just have to use a different sucker, that's all. Keep that PG. Hey, and I understand that's not going to work all the time, but it is going to work about 80-90% of the time to try and bring someone off of that state of anger and into a state of cooperation where you can actually deal with them and cooperate with them. Anyhow, that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell for more content. Thank you very much. Until next time.